Here is a list of some of the most important Indian kingdoms and princely states that supported the British in India. Maratha Empire, Travancore, Mysore, Hyderabad, Awadh, Gwalior, Baroda, Sikkim, Jodhpur, Bikaner, Jaipur, Patiala, Hyderabad. Here are some specific examples of how the Indian kingdoms and princely states that supported the British helped them to establish and maintain their rule in India. The Maratha Empire helped the British to defeat the Dutch at the Battle of Swally in 1652. This victory gave the British a significant advantage in the spice trade and helped to establish them as a major power in India. The Travancore Kingdom helped the British to defeat the Dutch at the Battle of Colachel in 1741. This victory helped to secure the British position in southern India. The Mysore Kingdom helped the British to defeat the French in the Second Anglo-Mysore War 1780–1784. This victory helped to establish British dominance in southern India. The Hyderabad state provided the British with military assistance during the Indian Rebellion of 1857. This assistance helped the British to crush the rebellion and maintain their rule in India. These kingdoms and princely states supported the British for a variety of reasons, including fear of the Dutch, French, and Portuguese. The Dutch, French, and Portuguese had a long history of violence and exploitation against the Indian people. The British were seen as a lesser evil, and many Indian rulers believed that the British would be better able to protect them from these other European powers. Economic benefits. The British East India Company offered a number of economic benefits to the Indian kingdoms and princely states that allied themselves with it. For example, the British East India Company provided military assistance to its allies and helped them to expand their trade networks. Political autonomy. The British East India Company promised the Indian kingdoms and princely states that it would respect their autonomy and culture. This was in contrast to the Dutch, French, and Portuguese, who often tried to impose their own culture and language on the Indian people. It is important to note that the relationship between the British and the indigenous Indian population was complex and often contradictory. While some indigenous Indian rulers did support the British, many others were opposed to British rule. The British East India Company's economic policies and cultural imperialism led to a great deal of resentment and anger among the Indian people. This resentment eventually erupted in the Indian Rebellion of 1857, which marked the beginning of the end of British rule in India. The British relied heavily on the support of the Indian kingdoms and princely states to establish and maintain their rule in India. These kingdoms and princely states provided the British with military assistance, economic benefits, and political legitimacy. Without their support, it is unlikely that the British would have been able to rule India for as long as they did.